And when you say that, for the layman, the educator in me comes out and wants to just explain everything, but we don't have time for all of that. So I'll just kind of blush over some of the things. But ZapIT QA is our web application, as Heather said, that we strive to automate quality assurance testing and provide an efficient way to manage the QA data. And by doing that, we provide hospitals and healthcare organizations a valuable tool for monitoring and improving compliance with quality standards. So essentially, all the equipment that's used in healthcare has quality standards that they have to meet. And some of it involves testing that individuals, whether it be a nurse or a radiologic technologist or anyone operating the equipment, they have to do some testing. And our job at ZapIT QA is to automate that testing as much as we can, and then provide a mechanism for the results of that testing to be used for good data to provide possibly artificial intelligence learning systems, and when machines may go bad or the equipment that's used in healthcare might be failing before it fails while it's critical and while a patient's relying on that equipment. So we want to help, again, automate and manage all of that data and perform that quality assurance testing.
Great. And you've got deep experience in this. You really built this to help you in your day-to-day work. What about your background and your story really helped you decide to say, I'm going to start this, I'm going to take that leap, I'm going to jump in and build a startup?
Yeah. Well, I guess technically it's my second startup. So I've been in healthcare really my entire professional career. I started out working through Ohio State while in the Coast Guard reserves to get a degree in radiologic technology so that I could be an x-ray tech, essentially someone that takes the x-rays. And from that, I learned about medical physics, where we focus, as a medical physicist, you focus on the quality of the imaging that you're doing. I moved into radiation oncology, where we actually treat patients with cancer using radiation. And that involves, similarly, machines that produce radiation just in a higher energy and a lot more dose so that we can kill cancer cells. And that also involves a lot of quality testing. So, throughout my years, 20 plus years in the medical profession, I would look at, well, we're doing all this data, but what does it actually mean? And I really found that most of the people I work with in my profession, most of the people that I manage, which would be the people taking the x-rays and providing the treatments of radiation, really don't understand why or what they're doing with their QA data. And it really sort of made me perplexed for a long time. Like, well, this is so important in our job. We learned it in school, and then everyone just seems to forget. It's like learning how to perform algebra and then never using it again because you're a welder or something like that, but you don't realize you're actually using it. And the same goes with quality assurance testing. So, what I realized was, by not having the efficient tools to help them do that, it just became more of a chore than it is to get something that's good and good data and ensure quality instrumentation. So that's kind of my experience with that. Really led me into, I just got to make this better and have people understand. And as you said, make it in a layman's term, which is what we're trying to do at ZapIT. And that's say, just give me a score. What is my score? How well am I doing with quality testing and quality data for the equipment that I use in hospitals?
So as you said, this is not your first startup. So what did you learn maybe in that first startup, or what have you learned over the course of starting ZapIT Medical that you wish you would have known back then when you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about taking this opportunity?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. My first startup, I guess I cheated a little bit. It's a professional consulting group. Yes, I started the company. Yes, we started a program where we provide prostate brachytherapy services to rural hospitals. I was fortunate enough to work with a physician that really cared about his patients not traveling so far to get treatment when we could provide that treatment closer to home. So, doing all that was aligned with my profession. So I felt like it was fairly easy to start that. It's just a matter of hiring people that thought the same way I did about quality physics and, continuing to grow with just adding customers. And we built that to an over $6 million in revenue group with diagnostic and radiation oncology physicists. We have over 150 customers in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, with about 20 some staff in that group. So that, again, that just kind of organic. I felt like it organically grew, and I don't know, 7 years in, if it's the 7-year itch, or just decided it was time to start something else. But that's when I felt like it was time to start with ZapIT and the product that we did. So, I think that from, what did I wish I would have known? I guess maybe I wouldn't have been so naive to think it's so easy to start a real startup. but for me, every job I've ever had, I just always remember analyzing and thinking like, oh, how can this be done more efficiently? From shoveling the sidewalks when I was a kid, I used to just go up and down the street and shovel sidewalks. How can I make this better? And I would tinker around with the snow shovels and make them like the snow plows and things like that, just to try to make things more efficient or better. Washing pots and pans in a hotel in Lakeside, Ohio, to, now to measuring data for a $3 million machine and ensuring that data gets into the proper systems. I've always just felt like, how can we do this better? And I think that the only way to know something is to actually do it. So what I wish I could have known, I don't know, because I think there's a lot of things I don't know. And I really believe in not knowing things gives me the drive to find them out and then just try them out and see how it works.
That's great. Well, and that's something that I think all entrepreneurs have within them, is that that willingness to learn, at least good entrepreneurs. So as you're selling into hospital systems, medical facilities, what are you finding out about that industry that maybe you could pass on to other entrepreneurs that are looking to do the same, whether or not it's in oncology, radiology, anything like that, but maybe what to know about those target markets that you can pass on to other entrepreneurs?
I think the biggest thing, and kind of what I wanted to say about my experience, is healthcare workers are great people. They really truly believe in taking care of patients and doing their job for the patients that they serve. What I've found is healthcare workers view everything else as a chore. So any solution that you may have for them is a hard sell, because they're going to change what they want to do. And they know that if they do step A, B, and C, they can get to treating or taking care of their patient sooner. So, having a product that makes that more efficient or takes things away from them is probably the best thing you can do in that environment. Having said that, I think I'm starting to see a paradigm shift in the C-suite people where they do want data. And data is going to be the king in healthcare when we start really looking at the absorbent amount of money that we're spending in healthcare in this country and trying to reduce that, and yet also ensuring that we're getting a high quality care. Currently, our government and our healthcare industry is looking more at patient outcomes. It's only a matter of time before they look at, well, what's driving those outcomes or not driving those outcomes. And to me, it's the two other things that are involved in healthcare, and that's the people that give the care and the equipment that the people use to provide that care. So if we can focus on that and get the data and understand it, I think the C-suite people are also looking at that as well. So if you have a solution that says, hey, how do I get you data that's more than just patient outcomes, which if you're in the medical profession, There's a reason that a medical degree, an MD, is an arts. It's in the College of Arts, not science, believe it or not, because everybody's different and you have to use that science, but you have to also use intuition, knowledge, and things to put everything together versus just testing it. So it's an art, and I think they're starting to see that how do we make that art more quality.
Well, I learned something new today. I didn't realize that.
Usually,
So that's interesting. So in the Midwest, startup failure is really hard thing for a lot of people to understand and get over. But startups, that's the nature of the beast, is fail fast so you can move on to what will work. What is your perspective on failure? And do you have maybe a story of a time that you failed in your business, learned something really great from it, and moved on?
Yeah, we've had a lot of failures. The biggest thing for us is one of our biggest failures was we acquired another software company that was doing something similar solely for a specific modality in imaging, and we acquired their customers. We took almost a year to rebuild what they had that was built on an old platform. We rebuilt it. And when we went live, we were very naive to think that our product was better. Everything was easier for people to use, and it was a disaster. And it didn't work when we went live. So that was a huge failure in the company. A couple things that I did there that really kind of stem into some of the lessons learned. And that is, I was at the time part of Vistage, corporate executive organization, and my Vistage leader, I called immediately after staying up all night trying to solve everything. He called me, walked me off the cliff because the company really should have failed at that point. And he actually put me in touch with the person that founded YouNeedABudget.com. I can't remember his name now, but he took the time to spend a half hour with me. Very successful company, just telling me about their failures and what had happened. So it was really good to hear, somebody else that, hey, you can get through this. It's not a big deal. So I've moved on and spent the next month flying around the country and really taking responsibility with our customers and telling them, hey, we screwed this up. We're going to make it better. And, trust me, and you can leave right now or throw tomatoes at me, whatever you want to do. But we're going to try to make this better for you. And the great story of one of them is one of our largest customers. They actually invited me to their corporate event. So they didn't know what was going on, but that's exactly what I did. I stood up in front of them. This is all the executive team for this company, lots of managers. And I just said, hey, we screwed up and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And they all said, hey, I got invited to their dinner afterwards. They all said they were ready to just throw tomatoes at me and ready to just give me hell. And they said, you just came out and just kind of won us over. So I think that's really key, is building these relationships and trust, which I'm getting into another topic. But one thing I want to say about failure, and I think about this all the time, if anyone has seen that Winston Churchill movie, Winston Churchill said that success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to go on that keeps you going.
That's very inspiring. And one of the pieces that you mentioned of that I'd like to dig into a little bit more is the power of mentorship. You called your mentor and they provided some great advice. Can you speak to what a mentor has meant to you? How did you find your mentor? What do you recommend for other entrepreneurs when looking for a mentor?
Yeah, I think and it was kind of like, I didn't go seeking it. It was something, I sold the company, the physics company, several years ago, and the new company that owned us just enrolled us all. There was 80 companies, and he was a believer. The owner of the company that bought us was a believer in Vistage. And I think it's just a CEO, kind of networking, but mentor program. And I just got through in with this other group of other CEOs, and that for me is just so valuable because it validates kind of the issues that you deal with as a CEO, and that we're all just real people and we're all just dealing with problems. And hearing their stories, or even, having them help you with whatever it may be, I think is really helpful. And I don't know if it's a selection thing, and, I don't know that I would join Vistage, but what I would do now is just try to make those connections and find CEOs, and do things like go to a ball game or have a happy hour, like I do a lot with a lot of people, and, just get to know them, and then they're there for you. So call it networking, but I like to think of it as just like, building relationships.
Well, and that goes back to your earlier point about building those relationships of trust. And you said you were going to touch on that a little bit more, and I'd love for you to get into that.
Yeah, and kind of it's really with our customers, and, how do we scale with our customer? How do we, these are large hospital systems, they're going to have demands. And I think the biggest thing that we've been able to do is build the relationship with the customer, from our customer support person, which hopefully will be a team. I can honestly say there's several customers that look at them as friends. I call them just normally and just say, hey, what are you doing? And, these are the kind of relationships you need to build with your customers, no matter how big you are, so that you can, I hate to say get away with stuff, but they're going to help you more to help make your product better, to increase sales, because they're going to tell everybody else. It's really about the relationship. And I know good, successful salespeople probably feel the same way.
Well, and that gets to the question about scaling. What is your plan for scaling this as a startup, and scaling your customer base?
Yeah, well, obviously we're in the funding stage, and I think with that funding, we built a pretty good business. I feel right now, we're somewhere around $500,000 in revenue, and have some very big customers that we're really proud of. I think we need to have sales. I mean, this was just done by me, using those relationships to grow our business. And if I can find, start with a couple really good sales professionals that also believe in building those relationships, I think that's going to help us get the customers. And then it's the onboarding, because we're really taking a product and changing the paradigm of how we manage our quality assurance data and compliance data. And as I said before, hospital workers want to take care of the patients. They don't want to learn something new. Doing an EMR was already hard enough for the last 15, 20 years. And now I'm going to throw something else at them. So having the right implementation people that are also building a relationship and want to build those relationships, and they trust them, then it'll help it'll help those onboarding processes go much smoother. And then lastly, with some technological developments in that process, we can make it more efficient for us, which makes it also easier for the client or the customer as well.
Well, and you hit on a good point there about building a really rock star team. And I know you've got some great team members, some of whom have joined this call. So say good things. But what is your outlook on hiring, and how are you approaching that as a startup?
Yeah, I've kind of always done this, and really, if I can think of some mistakes, it's a mistake too. So you have to really be careful. I've had previous people working for me that I've had build relationships with, and they just don't work out. But I believe that my mission is to continue to build relationships, and that'll get you the staff that you need or that you want, really. Because you have to have that kind of staff that believes in the product, that's passionate about the product, and wants to build those relationships as well. So I do things like host happy hours where I'm bringing in corporate professionals, programming developers, sales staff that I'm bringing to these to really develop relationships. There are many interviews to me. How, is this person going to interact with me? And I think at a personal level, I think that tells a lot about a person. Just to go through an interview process where everyone's on their quote unquote best behavior, you don't really know who the people are. So I think by building these relationships with staffing agencies, with other professionals, telling our story, seeing my staff at these, getting excited about what we're doing to other people, just helps really build that network out bigger, that we can start filling our positions fairly quickly.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna save some time at the end here for questions from the audience. So attendees, if you've got questions, you can either drop them in the chat or into the Q&A. You'll see that at the bottom of your screen. With that, I'm gonna ask my last question. And this is the one that I like to ask of all entrepreneurs. So there are a lot of hard lessons learned being the CEO of a company. If you had to give one piece of advice or one of the biggest lessons that you've learned through building this startup, what would you impart to other entrepreneurs?
I think the biggest thing is hire the right people and hold them accountable, and then let the wrong people go. Don't hesitate. Don't waver on that at all. And I think I'm a nice person. I always want to do well for people and give to people. I learned a lot of lessons on doing that. Don't do that. People will take it, either they take advantage or they're just not a fit, or they're not a good fit. And having the right staff, the energy that we have in ZapIT now is far greater than anything that we had before because of the staff that's in it. And I'm not just saying that because they're here. They know I say that all the time. So, but it really is a matter of getting the right staff. And a lot of where we are now is because of having the wrong staff, and we're having to make up for that. So we're behind, I think, where we should be because of that. So that's my biggest thing is don't be afraid, hire the right staff, and don't be afraid to fire the ones that aren't going to work out, and fire them quickly.
That's a really good point. I received a chat question. What is next on the horizon for ZapIT? So I guess I would rephrase that as, what are you excited about for the future of ZapIT? What's coming next?
I'm really excited about expanding. Currently, we only offer a product in imaging and radiation oncology. I'm really excited about expanding this into a whole hospital platform for managing quality assurance for all the equipment that's used in patient care. And that's what gets me most excited. The second thing is using all this data. We're gonna have so much data of quality data for equipment, that using that data to improve how we take care of patients really, really, really gets me excited. And then holding hospitals accountable. Because of that data, we can also make sure that hospitals are compliant with standards. 20 years in the field, you probably don't want to know how uncompliant we are. And as a previous inspector for these things, we can't do everything as an inspector. So we're not going to find if something's going to be, if a hospital is giving poor quality care. So putting that information in the hands of the consumer, which I believe our healthcare is going to go to at some point, is really what I get excited about with ZapIT.
Well, thank you, Bryon. And I don't think we have any more questions. So I want to respect everyone's time. We're almost at 1 o'clock. So thank you for your time. As I said earlier, this is being recorded, and please join us next month around the same time, Wednesday, middle of the month, and we will have Basking Biosciences joining us. So again, snaps for Bryon. Thank you so much for imparting your wisdom on us, and good luck in your adventures.
Thanks, Heather. It's been fun.
Thank you all.
Take care.